there! Do you want to know how to be more captivating? Do you want to know how to be less boring and more interesting? Well, okay, in the next few minutes I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. So I'm Tammy Kabell, as you may know. I am founder and CEO of Career Resume Consulting, and today I want to talk about how to engage yourself more in conversations, whether that be interviews, but really I'm talking about maybe informational interviews where you're just having coffee with someone and you're networking, or you're even at a networking event. People hate networking events for some reason because everyone turns into an introvert, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to be engaging. And so I'm going to share with you 4 different ways today that you can be less boring and more captivating. All right? Now, this will allow you to be more memorable, and people will remember you months and maybe even years later when they see you again. In other words, you're the first person on their mind because you're more memorable. You're less boring. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is throw away the normal social scripts. Social scripts are the things that you would normally ask, let's say if you're in a networking meeting or a networking event, or possibly having a coffee. So tell me about yourself. What do you do? How about some different questions that will really get them talking, really get them engaged, all right? So the first one might be an entrance like, so tell me, what was the best part of your week this week? Hey, that's something that you don't normally hear, and that's going to catch them off guard, and they're going to think, well, that's interesting. And then they talk about the best part of their week, something positive. And now you're eliciting positive emotions. And I've talked before about how it's very important in the first 90 seconds that you meet somebody that you elicit positive emotions. All right. So the second thing that you could ask is, besides work, what gets you up in the morning? What gets you going? You know, they may say a full bladder, and that's going to be really memorable. Or they may say, oh, I've got to get my kids up in the morning, and then they start talking about the kids who they love, and it could be something that they're passionate about, right? So that leads me to the third question that you might want to ask, or you might put in your arsenal instead of the normal social scripts, and that is, so are you working on any personal passion projects right now? That's an interesting one, because sometimes people talk about their deepest passions that they don't normally talk with anyone about. And if you ask that question, then it brings out, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm putting together an RV so that I can travel the country. You know, oh, that's amazing. That's fascinating. Which brings me to my second point, okay? My second point in being less boring and more memorable is be interested in order to be interesting. You may have heard that before. I've said it before, but there's a gentleman. He's American. He did a scientific study on really what everyone needs besides food and shelter, what everybody craves, right? And it turns out that what people want, what people crave, what they need above food and shelter, right above food and shelter, is the need to feel important. That goes along with the need for belonging, the need to be listened to and understood. So there are things that you can do that that will allow everyone to feel important, and that is ask less what questions and when questions, and ask more how questions and why questions. That really gets them going. Okay? So, why do you do what you do? How is it that you do that? So ask those questions, and that's going to really get them to open up and feel listened to and understood, and that's going to make them feel more important, and that's exactly what you want to do when you're in some kind of networking meeting. Remember, you want to be memorable, and believe it or not, I remember being part of a networking group. I remember one night I met this gentleman. He went on for 20 minutes about himself and what he did. I think he thought I was a recruiter, and I'm not a recruiter. And I never told him, I never said a word. All I did was nod. All I did was, wow, wow. How do you do that? Okay. And then at the end he said, you know what? You are the most fascinating person in this room. I really enjoyed talking with you tonight. He still to this day doesn't know what I do. But he remembered me and will remember me because I asked, how do you do that? Why do you do that? Tell me a little bit more about your insurance business. And so that's my own personal example. So the third thing that you can do, especially in like a networking event, is you totally engage with the people in the room. In other words, never open up your phone. Now there's something that happens when you open up your phone. If you ever have social anxiety, actually I've got 2 teenage girls, and one of them suffers from really bad social anxiety. But one of the things that people do when they're nervous or they're bored is they pull out their phone. But what happens when you pull out your phone? Look at your body language. Your body language is like this. And you're reading your phone, but you're closing yourself off. You're becoming small. And when you become small like this, and your shoulders go forward, and you're closing yourself in, instead of being expansive and taking up more room, when you become small like this, what that does is increase cortisol levels, which is a hormone that causes stress and anxiety. So what you're actually doing is causing more anxiety when you're closing yourself off from the rest of the room and you're checking your phone. Okay? So don't check your phone. Be totally engaged with everyone in the room and put your phone on airplane mode, stick it in your pocket or your purse, whatever, and leave it alone. And make sure that you're making a connection with the people that you're talking to in the room. Okay, so then the fourth thing, the final thing that I want to bring up is I want you to be attractive non-verbally. All right, so what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, I'll give you 2 examples. One is that when you're talking to someone, now this may seem like a no-brainer, but point your torso and your feet, your toes, point your toes and your torso toward the person you're talking to. Now that's an unconscious thing that we do. If we don't want to talk to somebody, if we're trying to get away, we will move our torso a little bit, and we'll be looking at the person and we'll be talking, but our torso will be toward the door, or our torso will be towards someone who's got a large crowd around them and they're talking and they seem to be the center of attention. You really want to be over there. They catch that unconsciously, so don't do that. If you want to be attractive non-verbally, then be completely engaged with who you're talking to. So point your torso and point your toes. And then finally, something that you can do to be very attractive non-verbally is to nod 3 times. There's actually been many studies on this, that if you nod 3 times while someone is telling a story, they will open up like you've never seen. And so there's that third nod that you want to get to. You want to go, and then all of a sudden, hey, and if you've got teenage kids, I know sometimes it's hard to get them to talk, but when you're asking them a question and they start to talk, if you nod and you continue to nod, and if you nod 3 times, they'll open up. Watch it. It works. Okay, so that's what I've got for you. Actually, what they found was that people talk 3 to 4 times more than what they normally would if someone doesn't nod. So there's a little bit of studies for you. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have examples yourself of how to be less boring and more charismatic, more engaging, put them down at the bottom. I want to see them. I want to see them in the comments section. I would love to find out what your secrets are to being less boring, and I'd also like to answer any questions that you've got about nonverbal communication in interviews or in networking events. You know, we've got some holiday parties coming up in the next few months. You want to study what I just talked about and start to use these things, because these networking events, these holiday parties, are where you start to have conversations with the people that may hire you in January. January is the biggest hiring month of the year. You want to get ready for that. So right now there's actually a push toward hiring that I'm seeing starting the beginning of September that lasts through the end of the year, and it really culminates in a giant push in January when everyone gets their new budgets. So hope that helped you, and again, I would love to get your engagement, your comments down below. I will engage back with you, and I will answer every single comment. And if you liked what you heard today, please hit the like button. I really would appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you get first notification when some of this new information comes out, because these are the ninja secrets to being the best person in the hiring process, the one that gets picked, the one that gets paid what you're worth. That's what I want for you. And so that's why I'm giving you all of these secret little psychological tricks that you can use in everything from networking to interviewing. All right, have a great day, have a great week, and I look forward to hearing about your success. Bye now. I'm out.